Hello fellow devs, my name is White. Back again with some behavioural updates to my HacerGestoV2 library. For those of you who have never watched the video before, HacerGestoV2 is actually an open source library, gesture library. It's a very advanced library. It's designed so you can use the 4 classic gestures. You've got the fling gesture, the move gesture, the scale gesture, and the rotate gesture. Each gesture has its own behavioural flags, and every gesture can be turned on or off and used in any one combination and used with any combination of those behavioral flags. So I'm going to start out by showing you the rotate gesture. Okay, so this is simple. Put your finger down, it rotates. You notice the little numbers up there. It's keeping track of the amount of rotations that I make. Those numbers go up and go down because this library tracks how many rotations you've made. It tracks a couple of other things as well, which aren't actually showing up in the statuses at the top. I'll explain what statuses are actually returned later. So tap the dial to bring up the settings. Your settings here. But loads of behavioral flags here. You've got rotate cumulatively. Turn that off. Put your finger down, it rotates to the angle where I put my finger down and rotates from there. Put my finger down, it rotates directly to where my finger goes down. And you've got a cumulative rotate. So a cumulative rotate. Put my finger down, it doesn't move until I move my finger. So that's 2 rotation behaviours. You've got single finger and dual finger. Put in dual finger, put my finger down, doesn't move. Put 2 fingers down, it moves. Bring it up, turn that back on. This sensitivity here just means it rotates once for every circular gesture I make with my finger. So put my finger down there, as you can see, it's rotating once for every circular gesture I make with my finger. So if I put that into another number like 1.8, for example, then that'll rotate 1.8 times the rate of my finger. That can be a negative number as well, minus 9, minus 0.9 for example. That'll go in the opposite direction there. That'll keep track of the rotations. If we put that back to 1.0. Got angle snapping here. Angle snaps. Now the angle snapping numbers are dictated here. This library doesn't actually calculate angles in degrees. It calculates in ratios of 0 to 1. So that represents 45 degrees. That's 1/4 of that. If it works closely, it's rotating freely between snaps. That's to do with this number here. If this number is half or more of this number, then there will be no free rotation between snaps. Then the higher that number, or the lower that number is, the more free rotation there is between snaps. So I'll quickly put that 125.125 for the time being. That means there'll be no free rotations between snaps there. I'll put that back to the same number again, 0.3125, and again you've got free rotation between snaps. Okay, so min-maxing constraint, turn that off. That will make it so the it won't rotate to the left, say more than 2.50, and it will go to the right, say 2.8 for example. So rotate that round, it will get to 2.5, it will stop. Go the other way, get to 2.8 and it stop. So as you can see there, that's how that works. Pretty straightforward. Variable precision, that causes the sensitivity. That's if we go down to the right numbers, right. But basically, when you set the variable precision on, what happens there is when I'm rotating close to the outside, it'll rotate at 0.8 times the rate of my gesture. It'll speed up to 4.5 times the rate of my gesture. So I'm going to go to the inside of the dial. So I'll show you that. The outside it rotates slowly. Go to the inside, it rotates quicker. You can play around with these numbers as much as you want. All the behaviours work together in any combination. I'm not going to bore you with all those combinations, but these numbers could be positive numbers and negative numbers, and you get all kind of weird behaviours, which are pretty cool. Variable dial curve, to show you what that does, I'll have to show you by putting a higher precision in a precision. So we'll do here 0.0. With that, say for example, if I rotate to the outside, you see it's very sensitive to the outside and even more sensitive to the inside. If I want a high inner precision but still want accuracy on the outer dial, you put that flag on there and it causes the acceleration and deceleration to happen on the curve. So you can see that's rotating very slowly and still speeds up to the inside. So that's what the variable dial curves for. Internally that uses sines and cosines to work out the curves. So we'll put that back to 4.5 for the time being. Fling, relatively new behaviour. Though I've actually had this behaviour before, I've actually made the fling now so that it can actually work with a standard fling and the rotation spin. So I'm going to explain that in a minute. First of all, what the fling does, obviously you're flinging, it spins a bit like a roulette wheel. And so for example, these are the fling tolerance values here. So if I move my finger 150 pixels and release in say 200 milliseconds left, it'll be recognised as a fling. Then it will start rotating at 10 rotations per second. I'll change that to 5. It'll slow down to 0 over the space of 5 seconds or 5,000 milliseconds. So we'll demonstrate that. Put finger down. That'll rotate and it will slow down over the space of 5 seconds to 0, and that will just stop. So simple fling there. If you want it to speed up to 5 and start at 0, you can do that. Be a weird behaviour, but that you can make it speed up as well. It'll start slow and it will speed up. Put on 0, it'll then rotate. If you put both of these numbers on 0, the speed of rotation for the fling is dictated by how fast you actually fling the object itself. So to do that, demonstrate that, I'll put on variable, I'll curve, I'll put that in 50, and I'll show you what I mean there. So if I rotate that, see, it's nice and slow. If I rotate it, if I fling it slowly, it rotates slowly. If I fling it fast, it rotates faster, as you can see there. So that's basically the idea of having those settings. So that's basically a summary of all the settings here and all the flags you can actually use. I'll take the variable dial off, I'll put that into a smaller number for the time being. Let's go 4.5 again, put 0.8. Okay, now I'm going to show you the other gestures. You have the move gesture, simple gesture, put the finger down, it moves. If you notice there, it's moving relative to my finger. Show you the behaviours. If I put move cumulatively off, put my finger down, it'll move directly to where my finger goes down and move from there. So you've got move snapping, like that, and that'll snap to all 4 corners. You can mix those behaviours as well. You see there. The underlying library, you can actually allows you to have as many snap points as you want. And each snap point can have its own distance tolerance, so which is a pretty powerful feature. Of course, you can disable all the gestures. To disable the rotate gesture, you have to set the sensitivity to 0. So that's pretty straightforward there. Scale, simple scale gesture, scale to pinch. Bring up the settings. You obviously can get you've got enable snapping. That will snap 100 pixels at a time, or whatever you actually set this number to here. Minimum, maximum scale. So do that. That'll limit how much you can scale it up, how much you can scale it down. So we'll take the snapping off, and again you can mix and match those. Take the snapping off and have max now. So those all work together. Fling gesture, we'll fling to the fling. Okay, simple fling gesture. Just fling it and it moves. There we go. Okay, tap it, bring up the settings. I'll show you the settings here. Again, this is the fling tolerance. So distance threshold, I have to move my finger 200 pixels and say 150 milliseconds, and the fling animation will last for 1 second. So we'll make that fling animation last longer, say for 2.5 seconds, and that will actually, the fling will actually be quite slow. For example, there. Fling off edge, that was on at the moment, so put fling to edge, and you see that fling to the edge rather than off of the edge. If I want to, I can make the time threshold really long, so I'll go. So that means flings is really sensitive now. I can fling to the corner, and like that. And what happens if it flings to the nearest corner? I can fling really slowly because I've got 2 seconds, and you see that flings to the nearest corner. Now, so you can cancel a fling in the middle by putting your finger down. You've got fling. Obviously, you can mix and match these flags, so it will fling to the nearest corner, but off the edge rather than to the edge. Obviously, you can fling to the nearest edge, and that will fling in a straight line to the nearest edge. So incidentally, the edges and the corners aren't actually hard coded into the application. The library itself actually, the actual library works out the metrics for you. So we'll leave it to fling to edge for the time being, and we'll turn those off. Disable the gesture so it doesn't go anywhere. Put this to a reasonable tolerance for the time being. I'll put that to 150, and I'll put that to about 200 and 500 milliseconds. That's kind of a reasonable tolerance. So there we go. That's a reasonable tolerance there. Okay, so we'll do here. I'm going to show you the magic of this library, how they all work together. So we'll tap the middle, and actually, first of all, to show you all together, it's best to have this in 2-finger mode. For it to be intuitive. So we'll do here. I'll leave this on variable dial. Right, here we go. So go back to the center. And there we go. You got the fling. So you got the fling happening there. There's a little fling. And you've got your scale, and you've got your rotate. So you all happen together. You can mix and match any of those flags. Like for example, if I put this in, I don't know, move cumulatively, non-cumulatively, and you put your finger down there, it'll move directly to where my finger goes down, but still fling. I'm going to show you another cool behaviour, mixture of flags. This is actually the reason why we published this video, is because I've actually made it so both the flings on the spin and the fling actually work together. So to do that, I'm going to put this to say 4,500 milliseconds. over there, and I'm going to go to the rotate, and I'm going to put that to 4,500 milliseconds. That's a 150-200. So that's got so I'll fling that. Of course, it's in 2-finger mode. Okay, so we'll fling that. And what we'll do here, so we've got the fling on both sides now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to fling it. As you can see, it's flung and spun simultaneously, which is I've actually got these behaviours actually synchronized out now. So spin that again, and again, I'm not going to bore you too much with all the combination of flags, but say for example, if I put, I don't know, min max on, and I'll put angle snapping. I'll turn it off for the time being. I'll show you angle snapping. So I'll fling that. As you can see, the fling's working with the angle snapping, and we'll put the min max on, and we'll go like that, and that will go up to the tolerance. So yeah, mix and matches. So we'll go here again. We'll take the angle snap off, leave the min max on, and we'll go back to here, and we'll go like that. And as you can see there, it actually reached the maximum spin rotation and stopped, for example. So that's kind of a little example there. Obviously I can like turn some of the gestures off completely. To turn this gesture off, you actually have to set that to 0. So for example, go back to here, it's not rotating, but it's flinging and moving cumulatively. Go up here, I can turn, say, I don't know, turn the cumulative move off, leave the move snap on, go back here, turn, I don't know, like I say, turn this fling off, go like that, it's scaling, it's not flinging. So you can see how that works. You can use them in literally any combination. I'm not going to bore you, but I'm going to close up now, and I'll leave you a little kind of overview of this library. Basically, the underlying architecture, it's kind of built on callbacks, and the callbacks return all the statuses of all the gestures. Got pretty much any kind of behavioral callbacks you could possibly want. So I'm going to publish this. When I publish to YouTube, obviously I'll be putting the links to the Bitbucket open source repositories. I've actually got PayPal donate buttons on my open source repository now, so if any of you guys want to donate to the open source cause, which will give me time and money to further evolve these libraries. I'm going to be moving on to a few other libraries now. I'm going to be making HacerGestoV version 3, which is the same as this library, but it's going to be using Canvas instead of OpenGL, because OpenGL is handy for custom controls, but they're not really designed for custom controls. Also in my open source repository, if you get there, you'll find a dial library, which is based on the rotation control that I've just shown you here. But obviously it's a dedicated rotation control, and one of them uses Canvas, one of them uses OpenGL. So that's basically it. I'll let you guys go now. Thanks for watching my video. Please give me some feedback, and I'll bid you adieu.